Okay, all right. I think we had another 90 to 100 play scrimmage, a lot of different situations, which is always good. Just like last week, we rotated our quarterbacks, so we're fairly equal reps. That was by design. The running backs, we rotated those guys too. I guess for the second scrimmage in a row, they didn't put the ball on the ground. That's always something you look for. Be able to protect the football when things get live and all that. A little thin in some areas, but it gives other guys opportunity to show what they can do and grow as an offense. Questions?
Ira.
Do you get a sense, 2 weeks, you're halfway through the spring, do you feel like the guys have a good comfort level with all the things you're trying to do?
We're getting there. I mean, we're growing as an offense. Like I said, I mean, there's we're a little thin in some areas, and you do the best you can with that. And then, our defense, I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, Tony does a super job, like I said last week, but a little unconventional is everything. But, man, they do a lot of different things that put challenges when you're installing offense and all that. But we're growing, and, you can tell our quarterbacks every time out is feeling more comfortable.
Jordan? Coach Norvell said the offense had some highs and lows. What were a couple plays that you wanted back or thought you guys could improve upon?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you rotate everybody, it's hard for me to think about one situation. But just big picture-wise, the penalties. We hurt ourselves down there, on their side of the field a few times that probably cost us some points, or we had to kick a field goal. That's really what stands out. And I mean, when you rotate everybody, the thing about offense is like, it takes 11 guys for the most part have to execute. And if you got one guy, you got 10 to execute, it makes everything. And we're still growing in that area, but just the penalties and things like that, the negative plays, that's really what stands out to me. Now the positive, there was a couple really, really impressive plays, from the offense, specifically in the red zone. We had a shot or two we missed. Obviously you'd like to hit those, but we were close, and that's part of the process too.
Among the tight end group, we've got to see Randy make a couple plays today. Can you talk about him? Obviously, your time together. Just the tight end group in general, what's kind of stood out about
Yeah, that group really, overall position-wise, and they've had a really good spring. All four of those guys have made plays, and I'm talking about made plays to score or come close to scoring and all that. So that's a position right now that I'd say that we have a pretty good strength in. And so that's a good room.
You guys had a lot of throws go over to Willie Suarez today. Do you expect to see that continue to?
Tell you, we got some injuries at the wide receiver position, and he's had the opportunity to step up, and he has. He's a winner. He's had a really good spring, and he's got the opportunity, and he's seizing the moment.
With this offense, I asked Coach Norvell about this. There's going to be some home run plays. How important are the 3 to 7 yard runs that you guys seem to have a good amount of today to just get drives going?
Yeah. I mean, we're a downhill run team. And we like I said, we have a lot of missing pieces up front. And just that needs to be our strength, and we're still working on that, developing that. But that's a big part, that downhill run. But like I said, the best thing that stood out to me walking off the field is our running backs didn't put the ball on the ground.
Coach, how can you kind of tell what your quarterback will be able to do improvising when they're not live in a scrimmage?
Yeah.
Can you get a good idea of what it'll look like?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, obviously, really, all three of them can really run. I mean, they all three run really well. And, Tommy, he's a handful when you let him go live. But, that's just the way you have to practice, this time of year. And there's always a few plays and that he probably would have extended, but that's okay. I mean, he'll have an opportunity once we get to the season.
How do you approach, I know scrimmages are not real games in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, but especially with so many guys out on the line and the receiver, do you call it more based on what you've got, or do you call what you need to?
Yeah, that's a fine line, because we're still like our identity, and then you get in scrimmage, you want to have some things you have a chance to be successful at, and you want to try to give certain people opportunities. the positive of so many injuries is the young guys are getting opportunity to show what they can do, and that's really, really good. And there's nothing like scrimmages. I mean, like, everything's different in scrimmage. You know, the coaches are on the sideline, and they get a chance to be out there and play football. And so we learn a whole lot in that. But, you know, we're just trying to develop our foundation and evaluate our players.
We had heard that Kevin's very fast, but getting to see him like short yardage or short area kind of quickness.
Yeah.
What can that do for your offense? And then how much from last week, first scrimmage, to this week? What have you seen from him from a growth retention standpoint?
He has been, you know, for a true freshman coming in, like, he's been very, very impressive. I mean, he's a football guy. He's a natural guy. And, you know, just being on the field and just getting the information as far as the signal, the protection, and the direction, then you got to carry it over to the coverage and the defense and the read. Like, he has a bunch of natural stuff to him. He really, each week he's gotten better. And I'd say overall, I mean, he did some good things today, but he had a practice on, I guess it was Thursday, that, man, it was ultra impressive.
Coach Norvell mentioned the importance of pushing tempo. Just how big is that to your offense, and how do you guys do that?
Yeah, we didn't play as much tempo today as we had. You know, we gotta continue to build on that. But I think overall in the spring, our guys understand the expectation, you know, about playing fast.
You got the defense a couple times with some things that were maybe they didn't expect, and they looked like they sniffed out a couple things. How much of that familiarity goes on those?
Yeah, that's universal. That's everywhere. You know, you get into, you know, the putting in a new offense, putting in a new defense. You know, but that's part of it. But you're right.
Anything else? We'll go Aslan, last one.
Coach, I know you mentioned that not putting the ball on the ground is the biggest kind of takeaway, the big that you're happy about with the running backs. Will there be a point this spring where you're going to expect more out of them?
Yeah, I mean, they've done some good things. I think the big thing for me is being able to learn about them, and, you know, be able to play without the ball, and protection, all that. And so, you know, obviously you want bigger plays, but the defense had a lot to do with that. And the fact that we're, you know, thin right now in some areas, especially up front, you know, that has something to do with it too. All right, thank you guys.